of the minutes of the November 14th meeting.
Move approval.
It's been moved in second. Are there any corrections or additions? Not. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Items for consideration. What I'm going to do is that we have some speakers who want to speak tonight, so I'm going to ask the speakers to speak before we take up I'll simply read what the item is, and then we'll have our community speakers, and then we'll go into discussion. P1, Resolution 65-R-11, approving of a plat of consolidation for 2 lots located at 2664 through 68 Sheridan Road. Staff recommends Planning and Development Committee and City Council approval of Resolution 65-R-11. The property owner of 2664 Sheridan Road and an owner-occupied single-family home has purchased 2668 Sheridan Road, a single-family home to the north. The owner proposes to demolish 2668 Sheridan Road and consolidate this parcel with the parcel to the south, where he resides. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, but now may I have speakers? And I believe Ms. O'Neill, you wanted to speak to this? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. I moved too fast for myself, Ms. O'Neill. I'm sorry.
Actually, it wasn't approved.
It hasn't been approved.
Moved.
I'm wasting your time.
No, we just moved to introduce it.
We have not a vote.
I'm Rosemary O'Neill. I'm also a resident of Sheridan Road. My family's been there for 84 years. The Cherries have been in Evanston for 52. I'm very excited that they want to do this improvement for the neighborhood, tearing down a rather mundane cottage and putting a wonderful addition to the property. I think in this day and age, when somebody is willing to put their money into building in Evanston in these times when a very little building is being done, it would be a great asset to the neighborhood. And I think that having seen some of their plans in the past, I know it'll be very good looking and a substantial addition. They cannot be here this evening because they are out of town for a family funeral. So I'm just sort of moral support from down the block. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any discussions, any comments? Well, that was really nice to hear that, Ms. O'Neill. We thank you for your input. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to P2. We have no speakers for P2. P2 Ordinance 91-0-11, expiration of building permits. Staff recommends City Council consideration of proposed Ordinance 91-0-11 regarding the expiration of building permits as a further amendment to Title 4, Chapter 2, Section 2 of the City Code. The major change is the addition of a time limitation of a permit regardless of work status. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
It's been moved in second. Are there any comments? Well, I, for one, want to say I think this is long overdue because we've had buildings in the neighborhoods, at least I know in the 5th Ward, that have had that little yellow sign in the window for years. Not 1 or 2 years, but multiple years. So I'm really happy to see this. Anything else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we have several speakers for P3, which is the approval of the amendment of redevelopment agreement of the Neighborhood Stabilization Program 2 and program update. So I'm going to ask the speakers to come first, and we have Rodney Green, Robin Roux, Bill Smith, Eric Dingle, and then I'll go to the next 4. And there's mics on either side. So,
Madam Chair and committee members, I'm here to speak on P3. I see that we are now going to amend the agreement with Brenshaw Development LLC to give them another $3,085,000 in funding to progress with phase 2 of their projects. I'm kind of disagreeing with that, one, because I don't see them finishing up phase 1 of the progress. Point example, 2020 Brown Avenue next door to me. That house has been vacant since Mr. Ball died. I mentioned to the people at the time that the house should have been torn down in the very beginning, but Brenshaw and the developers decided that they would try to renovate it. They got in and found out that there was a joke going around that the floors were so warped that it was good enough for a roller skating ring, coming from one of the staff members herself. I then asked how soon is this house going to come down. They still give me put off. I know Mr. Cliff Washington has got the bid on it, but he could not pay the insurance. So the little people who bid for these houses to work with Brenshaw do not get funds to work with them. He put in his bid. I told him, asked him to go and talk to him to get them to pay for the insurance. He said he put in the bid. They told him that it's going to take another 30 days. I think the house has been there too long. It should have been down. And I don't appreciate the faultiness in the business that Brenshaw is doing. I don't think you should give them an extra money for phase 2, and I'm totally against it.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Ms. Roux? And Mr. Smith and Mr. Dingle, if you could go to either side of the chamber, would be great. There's a mic over here, and there's a mic over here. Okay, either one. Choose your poison.
Just a little bit closer. I think I'll go over here. Good evening. My name is Bill Smith, and I am the owner of Evanston Community Builders, Incorporated. Evanston Community Builders is a mission-driven company. We build community by creating wealth and productive lives for persons with high barriers to employment through the creation of meaningful and sustainable jobs. Just to set the record straight right up front, I want to let you know that Community Builders has been doing quite a fair amount of work with NSP2, and we do plan and expect to continue to do work in that project. The work has been very challenging, and I suspect that it will continue to be so, especially trying to navigate through the incredible payout cycles and the very thin to sometimes non-existent profit margins. Now, we are working with Brenshaw and the city to try to address the big issue of the payout cycle. But then the profit margins, that's a different breed of cat. So why do I do it? Very simply, to keep my people working. I'm here tonight simply because I missed an opportunity to say something about at the community meeting that was held at Fleetwood Jourdain. And I do believe that you, the decision makers, need to hear from at least one of the Thank You Jesus people. Given all of the payout issues, given all of the thin margin issues, the concern about the competitiveness that this project will impose on us as landlords, the fear of how the neighborhood might change, the perceived or the real lack of true involvement in the decision-making process, bottom line, we are where we are, and there's no going back. In my view, we would be better served by focusing on how we can work together to address some of the windshield issues as opposed to looking in the rearview mirror. Some example of the windshield issues we need to work together on is how are we tracking the actual number of residents in Evanston that are better off as a result of NSP2? how many jobs for Evanston residents has been and will be created through this process. We need to get a handle on that. We need to know that. Another windshield issue is how do we increase that number going forward? And we are a whole lot of smart people in this town, and none of these questions and issues are in fact insurmountable. Another windshield issue we need to think about is what can we do to enhance the bidding and the allocation process such that more small minority contractors can get more business as this project ramps up. Another one, how do we peel back the onion so that we know precisely how much NSP2 money is accruing to the minorities, women, and Evanston business individual categories as opposed to the GLOP MWBE category? What do we need to do to make sure that as many African Americans as possible take advantage of this opportunity to own and or lease this high quality housing in Evanston and not miss the boat? One of the projects that I'm working on is a house on Brown. This home is one that we brought back from the brink. The decision was build or renovate or tear it down. As we go through this whole process, sometimes it gets pretty hard for me because I know so many of the people in town who lost their homes as a result of foreclosure. And it gets even harder sometimes as I walk through some of these homes to see the conditions that some of my people were living in prior to losing the homes. Some of the places are really in really, really bad shape. One day I was working over at the Brown house, and an African-American woman stopped by and asked me could she see the building. And I told her she could, and I kind of showed her around. She was truly impressed because it is indeed a very, very high-quality product. Evanston Community Builders do good work. We do outstanding work, a high-quality product. And she wanted to know how could she get that property. I talked to her a little bit about the NSP2 program and what Evanston is trying to do with the program. She just said, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. We are finally getting some good, affordable, high-quality product housing in my neighborhood. Thank you, Jesus." My point is that at the end of the day, there are people out there who really do believe what we are doing with NSP2 is for the greater good of the community. And I just want to go on record as saying I am one of those people. I am reminded of the time that I was chairman of the Civil Service Commission. And every time I talked to a candidate for either police officer or fire service person, I asked him, would you consider living in Evanston? And almost to the person right across the board, they would say, I would love to live in Evanston, but I cannot afford to. They can afford to now. It is, in my opinion, for the greater good of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Dingle or Ms. Roux?
Hi, my name is Eric Dingle. I'm the owner of Best One Built, one of the contractors working on some of the NSP projects. I probably won't go in great detail like Mr. Smith did. He's a really well speaker. But I can get down to me personally. I'm actually benefiting of it for me personally and some of my employees and subcontractors. Being a lifelong Evanston resident, it's keeping me employed and it's keeping me in business, and hopefully it's keeping me in my house so I can pay my bills. It's been beneficial to me and my company. That's one. And two, to kind of piggyback on what Mr. Smith said, there's a lot of those properties that are, whether they should be torn down or whatever the situation is, or built new, that need a lot of work in those particular areas. It's a lot of, rightfully so, on the business aspect of, the payment cycle, whatever. But that's a different aspect of it. But as far as improving the area, and there's always some type of complaint. But for example, I think it's Emerson Square, whatever, that big garage that's been there forever and a day. doing nothing, and all of a sudden someone wants to come along and prove it there's a problem. I can't really see anything bad about it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robin Roux. I am owner of Signature Construction Services, an Evanston resident, born and raised, lived in the 5th Ward, went to school in the 5th Ward, Faith Christian Academy, went to after-school programs right at Family Focus, lived on Dodge, Darrow, Foster at any given time in my childhood, and I'm raising my children here now on Dodge near Foster in Evanston. I have only good things to say about NSP and what it's done for my company, what it's done for my family, what it's done for my growth professionally. I can only say that I have heard some feedback about the problems with margins and pay schedule, but I think that really it's just goes with the territory of the nature of the business that we're in. Other contracts that I have very similar billing payouts, so I haven't seen where it's been that much more of a disadvantage. I've seen nothing but opportunity. I've had more than 30% growth in my revenues over the year that I've been working at NSP. I've been involved in several projects that have been completed and very nicely. I know that there was some talk about maybe there being an inferior finished product. That absolutely is not the case. Mr. Smith does very good work. I do exceptional work myself. And I would like to say I've never met Mr. David Brent. Is he here? Okay. But, you know, I've been at a meeting after he's done his walkthroughs. He does walkthroughs to verify work weekly, and he expects nothing less than perfection for these projects. So I don't want anyone, you know, in the community that's concerned about the quality of these jobs to be concerned that the work is inferior. It is first class. Everything is energy efficient, Energy Star, high quality finishes, contemporary designs. It's just great. So I appreciate all the efforts that you guys have done to get the grant approved and get us working here in Evanston. My 6 full-time employees, and I have 6 subcontractors that I work with exclusively. Our families, thank you for the opportunity. We're hoping to look forward to work on the next phase of, what is it, Emerson Square. I haven't really followed this from a political perspective. I only see the opportunity here. I know that if I was not working on NSP, I would be in a situation now where I'd have to lay some of my employees off for the season, and I'm very grateful that I haven't had to do so. So thank you, Sarah Flax, and all your efforts in getting the grant done. I don't know where you are, Ms. Flax. Thank you. And thank you, Brenshaw. Thank you, BCM. They've been easy enough to work with. I haven't had any problems with them at all. I had one little minor clerical oversight, and they acknowledged it and handled it like, you know, as if they were sincerely apologetic. So thank you, and happy holidays.
Okay, we have Mr. Jim Partiki and Mr. Ray Hansen and Miss Teresa Velazquez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Peretti, and I live in Evanston with my wife and 2 children. I'm a realtor and an Illinois certified residential appraiser. I've been appraising properties for the city of Evanston and Brenshaw Development under the NSP program for about 18 months. I've been receiving my appraisal assignments from Todd Lieberman, Vice President of Brenshaw, and our relationship has been very professional. And the opportunity to work in the NSP program has had a positive impact on my appraisal business. And even more, in my opinion, it's given me the opportunity to serve my community in a positive way. So I'd like to thank the City of Evanston, Brenshaw Development, for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ray Hansen. I'm the owner of B.H. Surveying Company. Land Surveyors, a surveying company here in Evanston. I've been doing a lot of surveys for Bryn Shore Development. It's been a very positive input to my business in keeping people employed. The one thing I wanted to point out is that I see these houses before they work on them, and I realize how much work goes into them, and then I see them often after they're done. And I'm quite impressed that what I see, I don't see the inside, I see the outside. But from what I see, I think Evanston would be proud to have these houses instead of the ones that were falling down. That's all I have to say, but I want to thank you for initiating the first phase, and I hope you continue with the second phase. And thank you, Bryn Shore.
Thank you. Teresa? Can you have the handheld mic? Why don't you just turn around right here and we'll give you a mic. You got it.
Hi, my name's Teresa Velazquez. I moved into Evanston to enroll my daughter into Park School because it's one of the top-ranked schools that they have for handicapped children. In addition, I also have a 4-year-old son that's enrolled in the SPEC program in District 65 to improve his speech before he began school full-time in 2012. Unfortunately, because of my daughter's condition, I am unable to move out of District 65. And my search for quality rental housing within Evanston since March has been very exhausting and unsuccessful. I lived in a basement unit and paid $800 for rent, on an average $300 for my utilities. However, my previous apartment was exceedingly substandard and physically appalling. There was chronic mold, roach, bug invasions. In addition, this building has had numerous Evanston Category A and B violations, especially the windows, which threaten the health and safety of everyone in event of a serious fire. Furthermore, because the building was changed ownership multiple times over the previous 2 years, the current landlord has been compliant with completing any of the Evanston building violations, which were assessed in March of this year. Within my search for a decent apartment in Evanston, it was discouraging because first, I was looking for a first floor unit. And first floor unit, either first 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. First floor units within Evanston had an additional $200 increase. Secondly, the median cost of a 1-bedroom apartment in Evanston is $800 to $1,000, and 2 or 3 bedroom ranges from $1,000 to $1,600 per month, which exceeded my budget. I was at a breaking point of my search for quality housing, an affordable price in Evanston, and if it wasn't for Bryn Shore Development and the Live Evanston program, I would have had to remove my daughter from her school, and it would have crushed me emotionally, and I would have had to move back to the south side of Chicago, which doesn't offer the same educational opportunities for both my kids. Being accepted into the Live Evanston program has changed my family's lives in tremendous ways, because I am currently renting a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment, which is handicap accessible for my daughter and financially affordable for moderate income families. In conclusion, I would like to thank God and the marvelous job Bryn Shore Development has done for rehabbing foreclosures and
It's okay. Take your time.
and duplicated units into beautiful homes. And Cindy Bell and Todd Limberman for their professionalism and hard work. And my heartfelt and deepest thank you can't believe, goes to everyone involved in this program. I hope the City Council approves the redevelopment agreement set forth so more affordable and beautiful housing. It is a beautiful program, and you have no idea how many other families that are in my state where we can't afford to live, but we don't want to leave, and we stay in apartments that are not in good conditions for us just to keep our kids in good schools. And this makes it easier for them as well, and it keeps the kids happier. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That's our last speaker for P3. Sorry. No? Is there another list? Bobby, is there? Okay. There might be another list. If you want to come on up and just state your name, I'm sorry, but it's not on this. This is all I have on here.
I'm Nate Kipnis. I'm an architect here in Evanston. My office is at 1642 Payne. We were contracted by Brinshore and to do some work for them on the NSP2 program. And I just want to give a little feedback. Back in 2009, there was a list put out of the 10 worst professions in the country. Number one was architecture. And the number of firms that went out of business in Chicago in 2009, architectural firms, was 25%. The unemployment rate, not exactly sure the number, but it was somewhere between 40 and 60%. You know, this is unbelievable. And, you know, when we got the call, it really was, you know, I was staring at the phone. Nothing's ringing, nothing's going on. And the opportunity came to get into this program, and it turned out to be really great. It's turned out to be a base load of our work for the last year and a half, and you know, without that, you know, many firms, they start this path where they'll start to take a loan out, and then the loan gets bigger, and this, you know, downward spiral happens. And we had started to take a loan out, and a lot of firms had gone from 10 people to 5 people to 2 to 1 to 0. And we went from 5 to 4, and we kind of held our own there. But it was very encouraging to get that. You know, working with Brinshore, I work with Todd all the time. And, you know, we have a very good level of communication. When we go into these buildings, you know, architecture's funny. We work for either the richest people or the poorest people. Kind of nothing in between. But when we go into these homes, it is astonishing what some of the conditions were. One of them is right outside my window on Dewey. I can see it right out there. And I saw last year there were kids in there, you know, living there. And we went in there. We could not go in there for more than 10 minutes. We had to get it mold remediated. There were bedrooms in the basement. There was mold everywhere. And to contemplate that there were people living in this is just wild. You know, so we definitely have had challenging buildings to deal with in the program. We've had some that weren't so bad, of course. But they've been very respectful of our opinion on how to deal with them. When we tell them it needs to be torn down, they've listened to us. When we figure out a way to make it work, we can make it work. But, you know, we know what can be done and what can't be done with these buildings. We've also done a tremendous amount of green work on the program. The very first thing we did was come up with a green set of specifications, so it's something we're very proud of to be associated with. And, you know, I do want to thank the council, thank the city, and thank Brinshore for getting, you know, getting the word out and getting us involved. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw another hand over here. You want that mic right there.
Hi, my name is Lou Dixon. I'm the executive director of the Evanston Rebuilding Warehouse. We're a new nonprofit community organization at Evanston that believes that everyone should be able to afford to fix up their house. In doing so, it keeps things out of the landfill. And we've become associated with Brinshore and with the city through the generosity of the CDBG grant, which started out with a $25,000 grant, which we use for workforce training. And NSP2's requirement is if there's someone qualified who is qualified Section 3 individual, they will be hired first. So as of a week ago, well, actually 2 weeks ago, on this coming Wednesday, we will have trained 12 individuals that can go directly be employed, 12 Evanston individuals that can be employed in the NSP2 program. It's fantastic, the emphasis. There are a couple of things that work with where we're coming from. One is education. It's also the contractors have donated product that they've taken out that are still in good condition, but there's been a revamping. We've had contractors come in, which makes them more sustainable because they can buy things at a more reasonable price and therefore keep going longer. And we will be putting people, or they will be putting people into the workforce, which is, and we hope to add more and more. And I'm very grateful to the CDBG committee for giving us the money, and we're looking forward. I get a call literally at least once a day, if not more, from individuals within the community that want to do the next workforce training. So we're eagerly trying to find money. So, but anyway, it's been great. I think the whole emphasis that Brinshore is going forward of trying to reuse products where they can, it's a green way to do things, and it's keeping things out of the landfill and the workforce training. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, that's the last speaker, I believe. Okay, all right. Is there a motion for approval? Or can I get a motion? Okay, discussion. Alderman Rainey?
Alderman Holmes, is the discussion the approval, I mean, is the goal here the approval of the development of Emerson Square through the financing indicators that we have in our packet?
In our packet, yes. Okay. That's our goal, right?
What about the remaining dollars? And could you tell us about the different phases? The phases were a little confusing.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have a presentation from staff.
First
We have a
is
staff.
30 units or something.
All right, Ms. Saul, I think will take care of that.
Good evening. My name is Jolene Saul. I'm the NSP2 specialist for the city. It was discussed briefly, but for consideration tonight is the amendment to the RDA for the between the city and Bryn Shore for the neighborhood stabilization program. Previously, the current RDA covers the scattered site portion of the grant, which is the acquisition and rehabilitation of 100 units of foreclosed or abandoned housing. At the time that the RDA was originally approved last fall, other funding sources for Emerson Square were not yet in place, so we just proceeded with the scattered site so that we can meet our grant requirements. Since last fall, Bryn Shore has secured funding for a significant portion of the development. Emerson Square is a component of the West Evanston Master Plan, which was the result of an extensive community process and was approved by Council in 2007. The development would fulfill several goals of that plan, including neighborhood stabilization, improved land use, and the provision of affordable housing. Emerson Square was also a critical part of the city's NSP2 application to HUD and set our proposal apart from approximately 500 other proposals, allowing us to be one of 56 grantees across the nation that secured funding. Also critical to the application's success was the city's commitment to leverage non-federal funds towards the development. And I'd like to turn it over to Todd Lieberman of Bryn Shore Development and his team, who will go into the proposed development in a little bit more detail.
Good evening. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, City of Evanston staff and council members present on the Planning and Development Committee. I was really touched by all the people who came out to speak tonight about the scattered site portion of the project, and I'm incredibly excited to be here to speak about. I forgot my pointer. Speak about the fact that I forgot the pointer. To speak about the Emerson Square project, which is the second phase of the neighborhood stabilization program. As Jolene spoke about, there are two components of the NSP2 effort. One is scattered site, and the second piece is the mixed income new construction project of an existing brownfield into 32 mixed income residential units. A little bit about us, although we've been and presented to council and this committee several times. Bryn Shore is a residential development company focused on affordable and mixed income housing. We have over 4,300 units in our portfolio and really focus on helping communities and nonprofits to help realize visions just like the one that we're working on right now. We've worked in 4 states, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Indiana. Papa George Hames, Steve Rezebek is the representative of Papa George Hames, who's here today. They're our architect on this project, and they also have experience in mixed income residential development and master development of the scale and type of Emerson Square. Both of us are committed to helping translate vision into reality with strong design. So this project will both fit into the context of the community and help to further the goals of the West Evanston Master Plan through contextual, strong design. The West Evanston Master Plan, which Jolene Saul just spoke about, was really the backbone that led us to begin working on this project. The goal of the West Evanston Master Plan is to help stabilize the neighborhood, rebuild a public park. I'm going to get to that page so I don't have to look around. And to meet other goals, which are social goals, continuing to subcontract with MWEB firms and to utilize important sustainable and new urbanist design principles, while at the same time improving the land use and public safety by reconnecting formerly disconnected areas of this former industrial corridor. The site, as you see here, is located between Dewey, Emerson, Jackson, and Foster in West Evanston, and it's highlighted in red, outlined in red here. Existing on the site is a light industrial building that was home to the Bishop Freeman Company. Here's another picture of the site. As you can see, the site currently has 2 buildings and impervious surface. Here's a picture of the site looking south, and another picture looking southeast. The condition of the site is not good right now, and this project will help to improve that. So a little bit about Emerson Square. Overall, Emerson Square is a 2-phase development. What we're talking about today is the first phase, which is a 2.34 acre piece of the 5+ acre development. At the end of the day, there'll be between 65 and 80 units, but what we're talking about today is the first phase, which is 32 units. And what's really exciting about the project right now is not only did the city receive the Neighborhood Stabilization Program grant to help support this particular development, but we went out with the support of the city in a competitive application to the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and were able to raise the gap funding necessary to build this development. Here's a picture of the site in the West Evanston master plan. You can see what the vision was for the site as it worked through the public and community process. And below, you can see a rendering of the site as the plans anticipated to look at completion. What you can see here is that the plan is consistent with the West Evanston master plan. In the site plan, you can see that the plan is superimposed over the West Evanston master plan, so you can see how it works together. And outlined in orange here is actually the second phase, which is not part of this, but you can see how it all works together at the end of the day. A little more about the site. It's a new urbanist design, 5 different housing types, a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. Apartment sizes, which are generous, ranging from 1-bedrooms that are over 700 square feet to large 3-bedroom units. The amenities include a leasing office on site, so there'll be a strong, active, professional property management on site, as well as a new public park at the center of the site, community garden, Energy Star rated appliances, bike storage, conference room, dishwashers, in-unit washers and dryers, upgraded landscaping, and a new street. So this project helps to realize that connection between Foster and Emerson that was anticipated in the West Evanston master plan. Again, here's the rendering, and I'm going to ask Steve Rezabeck from Papa George Hames to talk directly about the plan, and then I'll take over right at the end to talk about a few concluding points.
Thanks. Good evening. I'm Steve Rezabeck with Papa George Hames, and I'll just quickly orient you to the development. Actually, backing up and starting with this view. This view is taken from the north on Foster, looking toward the southwest into the site. And you can see along Foster we have a series of 6 flat buildings. And then looking further into the site on the right-hand side of the new road, there are 9 townhome units and the public park. I'm not sure how to get the pointer going here, but the public park on the left-hand side of the road as it makes the bend.
Here's the pointer. Yeah, I got one.
Okay, thanks. And this is a site plan that shows the way the project will be developed in phase 1. So again, referencing the 6 flats along Foster and the 9 townhomes that line further into the site. The site is accessed from a new road which will be constructed coming in off of Foster. It doesn't quite show up on this view, but this road aligns with Ashland Street on the other side of Foster. Sure. And all the parking is accessed from from the alleyways on the back side of the units, except for this one parking area to the south. This view gives you a little bit of the character of the buildings. 6 flats are primarily brick, face brick. The townhomes will be clapboard siding, shingle siding, covered entry porches, double hung windows, very in keeping with the type of development that you see in Evanston. It's just a close-up view of the 6 flats, brick and stone trim details. A little blow-up of the interior showing the community gardens on the right-hand side and the park on the left. And that's really about it with the development, and Todd can talk a little bit more about the mix of the units.
Can you tell me how wide the street is?
The street conforms with the street requirements of the West Evanston Overlay District. It's a 54-foot right-of-way with the pavement, I believe, 28 feet curb to curb.
Thank you, Steve. Very quickly, this project has housing for a wide variety of incomes, from people who can afford no more than $287 in rent for a 1-bedroom to 2- and 3-bedroom units closing in on $900 or $1,000. And the way this project is set up is there's a wide range of rent structured for people in different incomes. So. Again, I spoke about the professional on-site management, and this management will be synthesized with the scattered site effort as well. We'll continue to commit to meet or exceed all of our MWEB hiring goals, and we will continue working with all of the, continuing Section 3 business concerns hirings and other Section 3 requirements as well. And with that, I just want to say thank you for your time. We're very excited to get started. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments you had?
When does it start?
Timeline.
What's the
Sure.
first step, and when do you plan on taking it?
We plan on breaking ground as early as June of 2011.
Well,
Right. We plan on going back into time and breaking ground because, no, funding doesn't provide for time travel. But, yeah, we'll start June 2012 is what we're hoping to break ground.
do you own the property?
We have an option on the property right now, and so we have site control, which will enable us to close.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I said the same thing.
So much.
Yes. Any, okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye. Go.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on. P4, approval of appointment of a meritorial committee to consider proposed ordinance 38-0-11 regarding the licensing of rental dwelling units. The Planning and Development Committee recommended at its November 14, 2011 meeting that a meritorial appointed committee be established to review proposed ordinance 38-0-11 regarding the license of rental dwelling units. And we have one speaker, Mr. Josh Barn.
Good evening, Alderman Holmes and the rest of the Planning Development Committee. My name is Josh Braun. I come before you not as a property owner, but as a representative of the Evanston Property Owners Association, the EPOA. The association is a large group of Evanston landlords that represents more than 3,000 units in Evanston, and every week we get additional landlords involved. We know that the city is trying to come to a solution on how to deal with the problem of safety, landlord identification, and generating additional revenue for the city. Currently, the city already has on its books ordinances to deal with the three main points: safety, the city has the property maintenance code, landlord identification, and revenue. The rental registration ordinance, I believe, takes care of both of these issues. So I ask, if the city already has ways to deal with these issues, then why the need for the licensing? Surely the city can raise the registration fee to generate more revenue and can inspect properties more often to ensure that they are safe. We as a group want to work with the city to help focus down on what are the real issues. Why is the licensing so important? Why is that the issue? We acknowledge that not every landlord is a reputable business operator, but in the same breath, you cannot bring all the good landlords down too. Clearly, the current ordinances are not able to solve the problems, so how will adding more laws solve the problems? We recommend that the subcommittee that is being considered does more than just study the issue of licensing, but actually get to the root of the problem and develop potential solutions to solve those problems. By bringing the city, residents, students, landlords together, the subcommittee has the ability to focus on the real issues and come back with permanent solutions that can work for everybody. We ask this committee to focus on solving the problem, not just to bring more laws to the books. By everyone working together, all groups have a stake in solving the problem and a responsibility for solving the problems. Again, my name is Josh Braun. I'm a representative of the Evanston Property Owners Association. I'm going to provide each of the aldermen with a card with my contact information and ask to be included in any public discussions to ensure that all parties are being properly represented on this subject. I would like to point out in the memorandum that was in the, I think this was in the City Council, it stipulates here that staff be composed of individuals of affected neighborhoods and community groups such as Neighborhood Citizens, North Shore Realtors Association, and Northwestern University. There's no mention of landlords. I'd like to make sure that it's noted that landlords be represented in this group. We want to be here, we want to help, we want to solve this problem. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. I don't think.
What do you want?
A motion
for what? To form the committee?
To form the committee, yes.
Okay,
but I think we did that at the last.
I thought that it was a reference.
It was.
All right, I'll make a motion to form the committee, but I sure would like to talk about the structure.
Absolutely. And so do I. Have notes on it as well, okay. Alderman Rainey, but I wanted to get a motion, get a second, so that we can discuss it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I think the key here is that the staff recommended groups such as, and they were left it open where we could certainly add to that, because I too noted that the landlords were not included, but I would like to see a category of landlords, small landlords, sort of a medium size, and then organizations maybe like the Evanston Property Owners. As well as we talked about the Fireman Park neighbors, the Broma Park, and people from downtown, but I'd also like to have someone from the west side as a part of this group as well. So those are the additions that I certainly would like to see added. Alderman Rainey.
Well, I know Northwestern students rent apartments, and that there evidently are issues involving Northwestern students and their landlords, but we have a huge population of permanent Evanston residents who some are landlords and some are tenants. And I'd like to see a little more focus placed on the people that live here 12 months a year, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. There seems to be a myth that tenants move out after a year or so, and we found that that's just not true, and given the economy, more and more people are renting. So I'd like to see a little more emphasis put on tenants. Now, the people I'm thinking about in Brummel Park who would be on this committee, they're not tenants. I want to make sure that if we do neighborhood groups, and there's no better group than my Brummel Park neighbors. Of course. But I want to see some tenants. We used to have, and I am a founding mother of the Tenants Organization of Evanston. And one of the authors of the landlord-tenant ordinance. And I think tenants have really dropped out of sight in terms of politics in Evanston. And maybe this will bring them back. I don't know. We no longer have an organization. But I really want to see some focus put on long-time, 24-hour, 12-month-a-year Evanston residents who happen to be tenants. The landlords have no problem being heard, and we will definitely put them on, and we've had several discussions that they are the ones who, big ones and little ones, need to be on the committee. But I sure do want to see, and there's not a word mentioned here about tenants.
Well, I was thinking some of the neighborhood citizens would also be tenants, so that was my thought. But Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Alderman Rainey. When I first looked at this, it looked like we were just making a very specific, narrow focus on the area surrounding Fireman's Park and the west side of Sherman, and I think this touches all wards. Mm-hmm. Obviously, some wards have more rental units in them than others, but this is really a citywide issue, and I just want to be very, very careful that it not be perceived by anyone out there that this is just a very narrowly focused student matter, because the students come and go, but as Alderman Rainey says, we have people here in Evanston, and we're going to have, thankfully, more people in Evanston who are going to be permanent renters, and we do want to take care of and make sure that all of them are cared for.
Absolutely. Alderman Wilson, is that your light I see?
It was. And just to reiterate, I think it's important to have the tenant representation, but also these small, medium, and large landlords, because I think those different categories all have different concerns or additional concerns. So as long as we include everyone in those groups, we should be covered.
Absolutely. Alderman, when is that you? No? Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Any Alderman Rainey?
Should we be submitting our recommendations or nominations to the mayor?
That is where they would go, and I did speak with her earlier because I wanted her to know that I had some concerns about pieces that I thought was missing. And after we passed this tonight, then she said we could, meet. I do know that people have been sending in their requests to be on committees, and I have forwarded those, the ones that I've received, to the mayor. And I don't know if anyone else has received any, but if you have some, please forward them right on to the mayor.
But I would like us to be very much involved in assisting her, because there would be nothing worse than a one-sided committee.
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think she would be very much open to that.
Could I make a suggestion? And the legal department's going to have to deal with this one. But I've talked to several adjudicators who have referred to issues with some of our ordinances and the way things are worded. And I'm just wondering if maybe one of the hearing officers could at least conduct a workshop or something for the committee, or even be a member of the committee, because there evidently are issues before the hearing officers that we need to fix.
Okay. In regards, I think,
do you think that would be? I know that there's different government.
Sure. Members of the committee, Grant for our Corporation Counsel. I will certainly, I'm sure Manager Bobkowitz, the hearing officers report to him, so he will be apprised of your request. I'm apprised of your request, and I'm confident that one of the hearing officers would be certainly interested in participating per your suggestion.
Alderman Fisk?
Would this be a subcommittee of planning and development? And if so, I would certainly like to serve on it. I'm sure Alderman Rainey and Holmes and
No,
any of the rest. You don't want to serve on it? Oh, no.
I just want to
You just
criticize
want,
it.
you just want to, okay.
Okay, Alderman Fish, but you would like to serve?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a subcommittee of this committee, I think that's appropriate to do.
Okay, I
If
think
it's
so too.
just-
We'll talk to,
I think a subcommittee of this committee needs to be all aldermen. I think this is a mayoral
committee.
Yeah, it's a special committee.
All right, is there anything else? Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We do have a time frame. We, at our last meeting, we said we'd have this as a date certain and to be done in 90 days. And that would be, I believe, at the formation of the committee. So the 90 days have not started ticking yet, but I hope they start ticking soon, so.
As soon as we approve the
As soon as we approve the committee.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, we have no other items, and could we have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Moved and second, we are adjourned. And